She didn't slam the door. She simply closed it, gently, almost respectfully. And for the first time in years, the silence that followed felt like freedom. She didn't know it then, but that quiet walk away would become the moment her whole life finally began. Here's a story many people don't realize they're living until they break out of it. Her name was Ariba, 29, calm on the outside, constantly unraveling on the inside, not because of one dramatic tragedy, but because of 1,000 small moments when she convinced herself she didn't matter enough to take up space. Her life looked normal to anyone watching from the outside. A decent job, a circle of people who claimed to care, a routine that kept her busy enough to never question anything. But deep down, she was tired. The type of tired that doesn't go away with sleep. It's the kind that comes from feeling invisible in rooms where she was supposed to belong. Every morning, her alarm rang at 6:30. She'd stare at the ceiling for a few seconds, gathering strength, not for the day, but for the version of herself she'd have to pretend to be. The one who never argued, the one who apologized first, the one who carried everyone's weight like it was her job. At work, she'd do twice the effort for half the credit. Her ideas became team efforts. Her achievements became lucky timing. Her boundaries? No one even remembered she had any. At home, she was always the peacekeeper, the person who understood everyone, even when no one tried to understand her. But that Saturday evening, everything shifted. There wasn't a fight. There weren't tears, just a simple gathering with people she'd known for years. One of those familiar environments where she used to shrink without even noticing. It started small, a comment thrown at her like a joke. She laughed it off, then another, then another. A string of tiny jabs disguised as just teasing. She'd heard them before, but that evening, something inside her responded differently. It wasn't anger. It wasn't hurt. It was clarity. She suddenly saw the room for what it really was. A place where she was tolerated, not valued. A place where she dimmed herself to make others comfortable. A place where she had been shrinking for so long that no one even noticed she was smaller than before. She looked around the room and quietly realized something heartbreaking. They weren't doing anything new. She was just finally awake enough to see it. Then came the moment. Someone made a comment about her again, casual, careless. People laughed. Her heart didn't. She took a slow breath, stood up. And for once, she didn't justify, didn't explain, didn't defend. She just said, "I should go." No one took her seriously. Someone joked, "Oh, relax, we're just messing with you." But she didn't sit back down. She didn't force a smile. She simply picked up her bag, walked to the door, and stepped outside. That walk, just a few seconds long, felt like crossing a bridge she didn't plan to return from. For the first time, the night air didn't feel cold. It felt honest. She stood there, outside the house, hearing faint laughter from the inside, and felt her own voice rise inside her chest. A voice she hadn't heard in years. "You don't deserve this." It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was enough. The next morning, she woke up feeling something unfamiliar, a kind of quiet strength. Not the movie kind where you stand on a rooftop and scream your victory. The real kind. The kind that comes from finally choosing yourself. She didn't plan a big transformation. She just made small decisions she had avoided for years. She stopped entertaining conversations that belittled her, stopped explaining her worth to people committed to misunderstanding it. stopped showing up in places where she left feeling smaller. She wasn't becoming someone new. She was returning to someone she had abandoned, herself. And slowly, everything around her began to shift. Ariba became intentional. She spoke slower, but with more clarity. She said no without guilt. She walked away from things halfway rather than let them drain her completely. She protected her peace like it was something sacred, because now she knew it was. The world didn't suddenly become easier, but she did become harder to break, and people noticed, not because she shouted her worth, but because she stopped letting anyone treat her like she didn't have any. She learned something powerful, something most people learn far too late. Sometimes your real transformation isn't loud. Sometimes it's just a quiet moment when your heart finally says, enough. And you actually listen. Her life didn't change the moment she walked out. She did. In the end, she didn't walk away from people. She walked back to herself. And that changed everything.